Kizoku is a name you're probably familiar with, or at the very least have seen him make these faces at major events in the past, but as much as I want to enjoy the man's humor, we're not talking about him in a good way today. As of today, he's officially resigned from pro esports team Nora-Rengo, where he's been an owner, manager, and Rainbow Six team coach since the org was formed in 2016, following allegations from several sources that he's misused company finances and mismanaging the org. SiegeGG has an article going over the whole situation as it broke this morning. You can find the link to it in the description if you want to read it yourself, but it's important to note that this is a developing situation based on currently unproven allegations. Kizoku's resigning may look like an admission of guilt, but we'll get to all of that in a second. This is your allegation warning. One former analyst alleges he wasn't paid at all by the org. One said he was denied access to the team's house in Osaka despite being promised that he could move in, and has also accused Kizoku of utilizing org money for his own personal spending. Two ex-Rainbow Six players have also expressed their frustrations with the org's apparent refusal to pay them, one of whom has even played for the team at international lands in the past. It doesn't take all that much whittling down to figure out who that might be, but they also asked SiegeGG to remain anonymous. And these problems don't extend to just the Siege team. Nearly the entire Nora-Rengo Valorant roster were forced to depart several weeks back because, you guessed it, players weren't getting paid. Why is paying people under your brand such a difficult thing to understand? I'm actually going to answer my own question on this one. It's important to understand that the situation for esports professionals in Japan doesn't work the same as it does in the West. It's a lot harder to play full-time as an esports player if you don't have a massive org backing you. Kizoku himself even acknowledged in his resignation statement that the money Nora-Rengo gets to distribute primarily comes from company sponsorships and from prize money, assuming that the teams they have can actually win some. And that's not me dissing their skill level either. You play well, you get paid. You suck, you get paid less or not at all. That's just facts. But now those sponsors, Corsair, Audio-Technica, Omen, Konami, have all pulled out of Nora-Rengo following these allegations, which puts everybody in that organization in a much tighter bind. Nora-Rengo, the org, issued an initial statement a couple days ago saying that the claims of financial mismanagement are unsubstantiated and they're looking into different legal paths they can take. They mentioned things like civil liability claims, criminal charges, and claim that defamatory and threatening emails were also sent to them and to their clients. And finally, the news of today is that Kizoku is taking the step down from the org himself, and also left a 4-page apology statement that tries to tackle a few things at the same time. He denies the severity of the allegations brought against him and says even though the player contracts weren't that generous, he still aided in home loans for players that were married and payments for an ex-player who was transitioning from a pro into a streamer. So that's where we sit. At the moment, it's unclear what Nora-Rengo is going to do next because Kizoku also mentioned that he will, quote, officially announce the reorganization of the team's management at a later date. So there's a chance he could just be stepping back as opposed to stepping down since he's really invested in that team, but we'll just have to find out later. Here's the thing, man. Nora is a staple of Eastern Siege, to put it broadly. Historically, the best team that we've ever seen of Japanese origin within the Siege scene, and has gone to Pro League Finals events and major events across the world, and you're telling me one of those players that's traveled for them internationally wasn't even being paid a salary? Are you being serious? We've known that the situation for Japanese teams financially compared to the rest of the world has been tougher, so we all hopped on the train to buy the Nora-Rengo pilot program sets in Siege because they would get a portion of the proceeds. And now you're telling me that the org owner may have been pocketing that money for himself? What's actually most worrying is I don't know what Nora-Rengo does from here. Even if you prove Kizoku was actually the problem and remove him from the picture, you're still out all of your team sponsors and you're about to enter into legal proceedings and pay for it with what money? I'm legitimately concerned the org might have to fold altogether if this is all as bad as I'm making it sound. But again, please keep in mind the unproven nature of all of what's been said. Even if those who have come out with allegations are all ex-players or staff members, yes, it paints a pretty damning picture, and Kizoku resigning only adds fuel to that fire. But take it with a grain of salt for now. As far as I'm concerned, man, I'm pissed. I want answers as much as the next guy, but I also mostly want to make sure that Nora's players are still able to compete in APAC North and don't have to, still be volunteers, that they can get paid to keep on playing professionally, and hopefully, they're not under additional financial strain at this point that some of them might have to go the route of retirement, because that could very well be a thing if you're not playing for an organization that pays you, dude. Hopefully this massive blunder doesn't prevent Nora's players from being able to do that. We looked at Kizoku and thought, this man's a goofball. We also didn't assume he was a scumbag. Today sucks, man. That is all from me. If we get more updates on this story, I'll produce a follow-up, but if we actually enter legal territory, it could get messier than I'd like it to be, mostly because I have zero idea how anything in Japanese law works. What are your thoughts on this situation and on Kizoku's resignation? Let me know in the comments below, and hit up my Twitter, my Twitch, and this YouTube channel for more in the coming days. Please and thank you. I'll see you later. Peace.